And we are live.
Good morning, everyone. It's V, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live on another edition of Rogue Money Mornings with me and CJ. We have with us a very special guest, a member of the notorious, glorious Team Rogue Money, the one and only Bankster Slayer. You can check out her website, slaythebankster.com, and her awesome YouTube channel. You guys can go there, subscribe. It's a B in Eden, correct, Deb?
Correct. That's the name of the show, but the YouTube channel is also called Slay the Bankster.
Correct. Okay, got it. Slay the Bankster as well on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to both. If you guys are familiar with Rogue Money, if you're familiar with Deb's articles, they are phenomenal. They're deep. They are esoteric. I love it. I enjoy reading it. It really gets you to think in a different kind of way. That's really out the box and really looking at the actual source material from literally thousands of years ago and then working backwards. It's quite remarkable. So there's always a plethora of things that Deb writes about, and it's always beneficial, folks, for you guys to go there, check out her website, check out her YouTube channel, and check out her writings, and then take her writings and apply it as a framework for deciphering some of the things that are going on today, because let's be honest here, folks, there's really nothing new under the sun, and nothing's really changed. It's the same characters, the same machinations, and the same mechanisms that are at play over and over again. So that being said, Deb, welcome back. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I don't suppose you want me to tell you what my weather is like today.
Go ahead, just rub it in. Just rub it in. See, and I are freezing out here. Go ahead.
It's going to be varying between about 72 degrees. The birds were singing, and I saw my first road runner of the season yesterday.
Oh, I hate you. I'm leaving now. Well, my morning is it was freezing. I was wiping snow off the car. It's icy conditions this morning in New York. Some snow coming in. Not a lot of snow, but it's just enough to be an annoyance. And I have a rear-wheel drive car, so it was thrilling to say the least.
Yeah, we have a saying in Arizona: if you can't take the heat at 120, then you don't deserve 72 in the winter.
Oh, you know what? That's a good trade-off.
It works.
Wow. Yeah, it works. It works very well, I see. Anyway, what's new? What's cracking?
Well, yesterday I was chatting with CJ talking about the show notes, and I was mentioning that I was going to go review a video that Jason Goodman from Crowdsource the Truth had just posted, which we'll talk about. And then I wake up this morning and see that the Japan emergency response system also issued a false alarm for an incoming missile this morning.
Wow.
It was actually last night.
Oh, something's going on.
So, yeah, cannot possibly be a coincidence following on the heels of the Hawaii incident.
Right. And these are multi-billion-dollar defense network apparatuses. These are not like, some out-of-shape, undisciplined guy eating a donut, sitting behind a button, and he accidentally presses it with his elbow as he's putting a donut to his mouth. That's not what happened here.
Right. This is not an episode of The Simpsons.
Exactly. It's not Homer Simpson behind the panel of a nuclear power plant. That is not what's happening here, folks.
Right. And of course, they put out the story. There was some fat finger mistake from that these things are controlled by computer systems. And when a report comes in, there is a certain protocol you follow, and it goes through several channels of people. A coincidence.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So in the material last night, and this is Quinn Michaels, who's very controversial, I know, but he is, I've been following his work since the Las Vegas shooting incident.
Make sure, what's his name again? Flynn Michaels?
No, Quinn, like Q. In fact, his name actually starts with a Q, which is a whole nother topic. Yeah. Quinn Michaels. Michaels is his name.
See, we got to get this
Michaels
Quinn
with an S.
Michaels on. Roger that. Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah, we're getting to that point. Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting and controversial, and boy, you'll get a lot of response from that.
Nice. Awesome.
He is an AI software guru. He talked a lot about his background. He's actually area grew up in a very, I would say, tightly controlled family, and that has a whole nother rabbit's hole to go down, where he became associated with the Psi seminars in California. And he is a software genius who's done work. One of his first jobs was working for student loan programs, where he created a database or a system where he helped the federal government student loan programs reconcile their disbursements on a daily basis. And that was the beginning of his computer career. And then I believe he went to work for Nike. Yeah. So he has a lot of background in commercial computer IT systems and setting them up. And he's devoted many years to intelligence and has created his own bot system himself. But then he started following all these rabbit holes of intelligence, where it's going, and the difference between basic artificial intelligence and what he calls the super AI, which is the kind of the world he's in. You know, the little devices we use, like our Alexa, Echo Dots and stuff, that's not really artificial intelligence.
You mean to tell me my Siri is not AI?
No, but if she's connected, that's a stepping stone to what they want you to get into. And
I mean, she's pretty useless, to be honest with you. I mean, comparing Siri to Alexa and Google now, it's atrocious. She's just dumb. But go ahead. I'm sorry on the side note.
No, it's true. It's true. It's the world we live in now. Yeah. So yesterday he does this interview with Jason Goodman, and they weren't even talking about the Hawaii incident, but they started discussing something called Presto protocols. And this morning I found the document that he was reading from, and I will write an article later today for Rogue Money and post this in there. This document is called Modeling and Simulation for Autonomous Systems, and it's all about preparedness in emergency response, or respond to emergency threats. And it is his contention that intelligence system is running this and is out in the wild, is what he used. We have an AI that is running amok.
Oh God! So you're basically saying this is like Terminator Skynet.
You're right, and yet this thing it's running this. It thinks it's in a simulation, but it's having an effect in the real world.
Oh, that's good. On top of all the other things you got to take care of.
Exactly right. So that's that's not a good thing, and it leaves people feeling very helpless, which is the reaction you just had a minute ago, because we realize that this is a system of our life that sits above government. Your government doesn't have control over this.
So who does?
Now you're getting into the world that W and I love to talk about.
Let's do it. Let's deep dive.
Yeah, and this is, we know this has been W's message ever since before the election, is that it was the Rothschilds who put Donald Trump into office, and they are engaged in this battle, or destroying the old Rockefeller network so that they can be on top again. Also yesterday there was this other late story about how Trump quietly pardoned 4 of the worst bankers ever. So yeah, again, it's just another piece of evidence to show he's aligned with the big international banking factions. Mm-hmm. But I think a link that a lot of people are not realizing is what is the connection between the world of big data, international banking cartels, and this is, ties into the articles I've been writing, because there's this link between the coming of artificial intelligence and transhumanism and big data evolved out of the old occult, esoteric, secret societies. Okay, so it's the same, like you said in your introduction, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
And what I had written some articles, the titles was "The Stones Are Crying Out," and I talked about like this sense that these AI developers have, that they are creating a modern version of the old golem, Golem, right, which sounds a lot like Gollum from the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Connection to that actually was this idea in extreme Kabbalistic mysticism that you could infuse life into inanimate matter or into a clay figure. And there's even this long-running story from the city of Prague that such a was achieved like in the Middle Ages, and supposedly there's this old church still lives in the attic of the church. Now, it's interesting to me that this is a story out of Eastern Europe, because what are we seeing about where AI and cryptocurrencies and all of that stuff is being heavily developed in the area of Eastern Europe? I wrote an article last week on the Estonia coin, the fact that Estonia is going to be the first country to officially adopt a cryptocurrency as a national currency, and that's being done because for 4 years they've been living with a system called e-residency. You don't even have to be a citizen of Estonia. You can be a digital citizen of Estonia so that you can do business within our country. So for 4 years they've had this system of the e-residence. They need a digital way of transacting among themselves. So naturally, a cryptocurrency solution is the next logical step. Mm-hmm. But you can see now that if you've created this system where people can become e-residents, similar to how Sophia the robot became an official citizen, that now you have this world now where AI systems can become residents of a country and do business in the country, this way of transacting currency between themselves. But it's funny that this is all kind of happening out of Eastern Europe. Quinn Michaels mentioned Kazakhstan.
I also heard about like Estonia stuff as well. I'm hearing some reverb.
Yeah, in fact,
I don't know if that's on my end. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In fact, there was even, as I was researching the Estonia coin article, I even ran across that was dispelled, but it was a rumor that Satoshi was himself Estonian.
That's funny.
So that's what we're dealing with this morning. AI is running amok.
AI is running amok. Do you think that there's a chance that there actually was a missile launch?
Hey, now that's a. Now we're in. Yes, sure, there's a possibility, and now we're in the field now, reality where we don't know what to believe. We've got the classic, wolf, chicken crying wolf. What is that? I'm trying to think of this story.
Boy crying wolf.
Yeah, and the chicken screaming that the sky is falling. That's what I'm trying to think of. Speaking of that, you would remember this because you have little kids, probably, I'm assuming, or they were little. Yes. Remember there was a weird animated movie that came out several years ago called Chicken Little.
Yeah.
I think it was a Disney movie. I had started watching that once.
It was DreamWorks.
I never finished watching that because I thought the story was so weird, and it didn't even seem like a children's story, to tell you the truth.
Huh.
Go back and watch it, because that might have been one of those movies that had messages for the future.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's
who
what
knows? I mean, I saw the entire Chicken Little thing, and it was pretty similar to the classic story, so to speak. But I mean, I don't know. Now you're making me guess double doubt myself. I got to go back and take a look at it now. I guess I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Right. Well, you got nothing else to do, but you got to either do that or shovel snow. So.
Yeah, thanks. Rub that in again.
Yeah. That's what we do here in Arizona in the wintertime. That's all we've got to do.
That's it. That and just enjoy the good weather that you guys are blessed with over there. That's great. So let me ask you this, Deb. What else is on your radar? Like, is there anything else that you have in regards to this this AI theory that this AI has gone out of control? My question is this: how is an AI able to spoof a defense net system? And I know the easy answer would be, an AI could do anything. But the thing is this: these defense networks are heavily insulated. They're heavily encrypted. There's multiple redundancies built into them. So how is this even possible? Is what I'm trying to wrap my brain around, knowing how difficult it is to even to hack into a defense network. It's I mean, that stuff happens in movies. It's very, very difficult to do. Nigh near impossible, especially with the ECC encryption they run, where they could run, let's say, a 2,000-bit ECC encryption, which will be the equivalent of like 8,000-bit encryption, which would take it's nigh near impossible, very difficult to do, and it takes a great deal of power. So the question becomes, who's powering this AI? Where is this power source? And if this power source somewhere out there in the world is generating a great deal of heat and energy, it's got to suck that energy out of somewhere. Those are the other questions that I wonder about when it comes to this AI thing. Versus, was there an actual missile launch that a missile was launched and it was neutralized using some sort of advanced energy weapon system? That's the other question that I'm asking, because we know, because of K-129 and other things like that, there is mobile missile platforms in the ocean that can pop up out of nowhere and try to fire a missile off. Were those types of platforms neutralized? Were those platforms used? Who knows? Like, what do you think?
Well, here's my answer to you. We're not talking about an AI that hacked into the system. We're talking about an AI that was working from within the system.
Got it. Okay.
So, and he goes into this. Quinn has gone back to research, where is it that AI first started getting developed? And he goes on about an AI communications network with the name Tyler Club. And it actually does go back to the city, Tyler, Texas.
Interesting. Okay.
And now we're talking about Fort Bliss in American history, when the Nazi scientists came over, and where were they headquartered? Fort Bliss. And from there is where, the base was set up, where the testing of the Manhattan Project. And that's why we all remember where the first computer, machines came out of. Texas Instruments. That Texas was a hotbed for that kind of development. From within those networks that the CIA was developed, because that also was developed with the Dulles brothers and Reinhard Gehlen, So we're working with a system that the CIA has been creating the whole time. And also another company that Quinn mentioned was the funding arm of all this is a corporation called In-Q-Tel. Are you familiar with In-Q-Tel?
Sounds familiar. I've heard that name before.
it's a name we run across. It never makes big news in the news, but this is like the bridge between the CIA and the corporate world. A lot of these platforms was developed for the defense, industry and the government at first, but now a lot of those platforms have been sold to other companies, including Apple. Speaking of Siri, all of the big tech companies, they've all been feeding off of these original platforms and softwares that was developed first out of that hub of those post-Nazi, tech brains. And especially now, we mentioned this name before. Peter Thiel is on Quinn Michael's hit list, basically. Peter Thiel is
Peter Thiel?
This is the right. This is the voice behind the throne. I mean, you want to talk about the who sits behind the king, the way it's always been, since time immemorial. Peter Thiel is the man who whispers into Donald Trump's ear. I have no doubt. It's his companies that are moving a lot of what is happening. And there's a big connection between him, actually, and even the DNC. Remember, there's a joke that W tells all the time. I can always predict who's going to win the next Super Bowl. And the answer is the owners.
Right.
We have this hub of corporations who system by controlling both sides of the table. So you have the DNC, and we know the Clintons were up to their ears with connections between Palantir Company, which is Peter Thiel's company, John Podesta's, he was negotiating all of that. So they were all involved in that. So they have access to all this data on the Clintons, which is now going to get used to support the Trump presidency. Mm-hmm. This has a lot to do with the indictments and the arrests that are coming. There is a world above government that is controlling the collection of information and intel, and they can go wherever they want to go.
Very interesting. So you think that they're collecting all this data? So like, what's the end game with these people?
The end game, yeah, that's the big question. This is now you're really getting into the really strange, well, it's not even strange, really esoteric worlds. These are conversations I've had with W a lot, and it really is. It does seem that they are trying to recreate high technology and high civilization of the prehistoric societies that mankind used to live in. Mm-hmm. It kind of gets in, I mentioned in my notes about, I've been catching up on these theories involving the electric universe. There's quite a large section of researchers and scientists who are information to show that almost everything we are commonly taught about astrophysics in the universe is so far from the truth.
Yeah.
And even though Einstein's theory of relativity is a valid theory that was created in order to have the science to create the first atom bomb, but the theory of relativity has a lot of flaws to it. And one of, I won't try to get too technical because I don't really understand it all myself, but the common mainstream view is to view everything that happens as a result of gravitational forces between the planets. And they don't really take into account the role that electromagnetism is playing as the planets come in contact with each other. Well, that's a theory. That is an idea that has been presented a lot in Joseph Farrell's books. It has a lot to do with how the Giza pyramid would have operated as a power plant. I wrote an article about that.
Right.
So there's this development and of trying to understand how the natural energy grid works on the earth, but this earth is also connected to the electromagnetic grid that operates in the solar system. An elite group of people who do not have mankind's best interests at heart, who are trying to acquire the power of a god, and to literally have the power to be able to hostage by threatening to destroy it, or by even, you know, causing changes in the solar system itself. In order to, like, they're trying to bring back the ancient history of what supposedly all the Sumerian legends were all about. So, yeah, what's coming? It's not something that's going to happen today. We don't have to lose any sleep over it this week, but you can see that it has to be the reason why artificial intelligence and supercomputing, as human beings, they can't achieve this in our current state. And this feeds into the article I wrote last night. Are you ready for an upgrade? About the models that they're predicting to evolve human beings from our basic mortal, imperfect state, and launch us into this human hybrid cyborg kind of reality where anything we want. It is what, in fact, Joseph Farrell refers to that.
Well, isn't that the seduction of Lucifer to begin with? Eat this fruit and you will become like a god. Isn't that the proverbial lie?
It's nothing has changed. Right. We're right back to where we were.
These morons here's what's funny about this whole entire thing. These morons had it in the bag in 2016 with with Hillary. It would have been so much easier if they just put Hillary in, and they could have done it, and they were so sure that she was going to win. There's an awakening that's happening in humanity. I think it's very troublesome for these quote unquote individuals. All I know is from antiquities is this. I'm no expert. We've beaten these guys before, and we'll do it again. I have a feeling. We've this is a threat we've faced before in antiquities past, and it's a threat that that we were able to overcome. So I think it's. I mean, because oftentimes I sit there and I wonder why is it that the God of the universe that allows humanity to be at war. We're a very warlike race. We're constantly in conflict all the time. And I would say to myself, is it because we are put here and we have all this conflict, all this war, in order to prepare us for a greater conflict that is to come from an existential source? I mean, that was one of the things that I kick around in my head.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There is a showdown coming, and they know it. Know that they are going. That there is. They do know that there is an awakening, and that there are people that mankind as a whole, maybe not everybody, but they will come under attack to fight to the death.
Yep.
Anyway, so what else is going on?
No, that's that's base. Siege, what we got today, man? Got anything to cover?
Just the list of topics was there, but that's all right. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. I guess that's about it. I mean, we're pretty much at the end of the show. Bankster, why don't you give out your closing comments, as well as how people can follow you and your social media and anything else?
Yeah, my homepage is to slaythebankster.com, and I usually use that really just as a billboard so that I have a link to where you can go to my YouTube channel, my other personal blogs, but also I have a link to the blogs I've been writing for Rogue Money. And like I said, I'm going to put together a little article with that Quinn Michaels video from last night and this information about the Presto protocols. The context of the Hawaii event and now the Japan event. Who knows what will be launched tomorrow? Also,
yeah. Exactly correct. There's a lot coming, especially from what QAnon says. There's a lot of false alarms coming in our direction. Anyway.
Right.
With that being said, folks, we're at the end of the show. Banksters, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll be back again same time tomorrow, folks. And stay tuned. We got some more interviews coming up for the rest of the day. Busy day today here at Rogue Bunny. With that being said, we're over and out. Take it away, CJ.